welcome back to the second video in my terraforming tutorial series. Once again, my name is William, and today, as I explained in the last video, hopefully you saw it, maybe not, it was kind of long, it went on way longer than I thought it was going to. As I was saying in the last video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make mountains that look a little bit more realistic within City Skylines, what's it called? Map editor. So that's what we're in right now. Like I said, the last tutorial went over some of the basics and a couple of things that I have personal opinions on when it comes to map editing. So if you haven't seen that, then I'll put an annotation above Chirper or something for you to click on and go and watch. If you have watched that, then hello, and thanks for sticking with me for so long. Anyway, I'm going to be showing you guys how to do mountains like this, and what the sort of secret is, because I think these look pretty good. I mean, this needs a little bit of work here, but the cliffside that I've got going here is starting to look really nice, I think. So, how did I do it? Well, I didn't use height maps, that's for sure, because as we discussed already, height maps are a little bit weird in this. What I did instead is I just used brushes, but I used them in a very specific way. So, our first step is to determine where the peak of our mountain is. Now, generally, mountains actually have several peaks and things called ridges, which is this kind of pointed bit that goes up the edge of a mountain. It looks kind of like a blade edge or something. I don't know. It's called a ridge anyway. So mountains have ridges, and each ridge has, you know, if we zoom in, lots of little peaks all over the place. So when we're making a big mountain, which is what this is going to be, by the way, my overall plan for this city is to try and make a big mountain probably about the size of 5 or 6 of these tiles, to have like a gentle slope on it and plateaus in places where I can build my town, but then, you know, a decent looking mountain that becomes a backdrop to the city. So that's my plan. Anyway, so the mountain needs a peak, as in the very tallest point of the mountain, which will probably be around here somewhere. So we could put that in if we wanted to, and I guess I'm going to make it the tallest it possibly can, because this is supposed to be a very big mountain. So maybe that's somewhere around here. So we could start from this peak if we wanted to, but actually I think it's easier to work up towards that point in stages. So as you see here, I've been working on this cliffside. Once again, apologies for occasional frame rate drops. OBS is slightly strange in terms of how it encodes videos, it turns out. Ordinarily I run at quite a high frame rate. I'm not really sure what the problem is. Anyway, so in this specific case, let's say I want to expand this area of cliffside some more. What I would do is I would see what height this is, and I can do that by just right-clicking. So this is at 535 point something, and let's increase that just slightly to say, let's make it 575 exactly. And I did actually draw a map of what I want this final thing to look like, so I've sort of got that on hand, and I would recommend doing this if you're any good at drawing. So according to my map, there should be another peak, or what would we call it, I guess? Micro peak? I don't know. Anyway, we need to change the brush size. Let's make this 80. Undo. And I think it's going to be, yeah, around about here. So when I first, it's kind of hard to show in retrospect, but when I first made this bit of the mountain, I started with a peak here, and I worked my way down. So from this new point, I'm going to be working from this point to this point. As I explained in the last video, to do that, or I didn't explain in the last video, but I mentioned in the last video that the slope tool is very, very useful, and that's because we're going to be using it to achieve this effect. So we right-click the top of this, and we know that we've right-clicked it because it was 575 exactly. Actually, we probably didn't even need to right-click it, but now we're going to move from the top of this edge here. Actually, let me line up my camera a little bit better, zoom out a bit. Yeah, so I've already got this slope down here, and I kind of want to keep that because it was accidental, but I quite like it. So I'm actually going to go from here, and I'm going to just slowly drag this over towards the point that I clicked. Actually, yeah, that is why it's important to click the right point, because the slope will always go towards the point that you right-clicked. Oh, jeez. All right. Now, so that's the like basis. No, that's the foundation of our new mountain ridge, as it were. And now we're going to be basically filling in the rest of this steep mountainside which drops into the ocean, and then we'll fill in the what's the opposite of steep? Less steep part of the mountain which drops onto the plateau where the city's going to get built. So again, to do this, it's literally just the slope tool. Now I'm going to change brush because I want a slightly wider brush to do this, but I also want it to have some texture, so I'm going to use this slightly longer, like jagged looking brush. And as I explained in the last video, I got my brushes from from a forum, and I guess I can link that same post in the description of this video as well. So first, I'm just going to smooth this out a little bit, and then let me see. Frame rate's slightly annoying, but alright. So what this basically involves is, oh, I mucked it up. Good job. Alright, let's fill in this bit first, because this bit's causing problems. This little crevice here. There we go. And now I want to bring the slope of this towards the ocean side. So like I said, the way that you do this is, perhaps it's easier to do it in like sections. So let's click here, and this bit that I sort of did earlier as just a border, to mark off the perimeter of where I wanted the edge of the mountain to be, is actually going to be quite useful. So I'm going to follow this up like this, and it can be a little bit jumpy sometimes, and it kind of depends on the angle of your camera, but there we go. So it's kind of like, at least this first bit is kind of like putting in buttresses for a structure, and actually, I guess while we're at it, let's do this whole bit up here as well. So, like I said, the cool thing about this is that you can do it at it will go towards where you clicked. And so even though it's been really jagged, and that looks kind of strange, I think I'm going to keep it like that. Because that will hopefully work in my favor. It might not actually, but we'll see. But you don't have to click anew each time, so if I want to fill in this a little bit more, say, I can just slide stuff again. Oops, oh no, I do have to be in sort of the right place already. Alright, now, because these are basically going to be two ridges that are joining together, and then this ridge here, where they've joined, is eventually... Oh, my game crashed. No, it didn't. It just froze. Yeah, so that ridge there is eventually going to find its way up to the peak of this mountain over here. And I'm going to reduce my brush size a little bit more. And I'm going to take the strength down as well. I'm going to bring it to about 50 something percent. And then it's literally just a case of making more of these sections. Oh, actually no, before I do that, there was one thing that I forgot, which is, so these two are intersecting. Yeah, I didn't finish this thought. These two are intersecting, and so there'll be a point where this slope here collides with this slope here, like, and so in order to avoid that, or in order to make that a little bit easier, I'm gonna right-click here, and let's change the brush again. Actually, let's make it... Oh, I have a lot of brushes. Let's just use this one. And let's rotate it so it's sort of pointing in the direction that I want. Yeah, let's right-click here and let's bring this up. There we go. So now, when these two sloped sections collide, so to speak, let's say this bit here does this, and this bit here does this. Basically, it means that when I get to this bit here, say, where my cursor is now, I can go from here and just go up like that. You see? Now, yeah, it looks like a load of holes or veins or something right now. But the general idea, if you've been following along so far, is to literally just do this dozens of times until you wind up with something that looks like this. Here's one I made earlier. And it can be a little bit tricky, particularly when the slope changes from each side. So it's like I said, it's less steep here, it's more steep here, and it looks a little bit weird because the textures between the grass and the stone are starting to blend in a a way that, well, it's the engine that does it, so it's not something that I can really control. But I'm going to have to play with this a little bit more to make it look the way that I want it to look. But hopefully you see how this is working now. That I'm just sort of doing it in lots of little increments and filling it in slowly. And let me just do this. I'm going to do this whole section here, this bit here, just to like prove that it works and that it can look good as long as you take a little bit of time with it. So if you're willing to bear with me, because I don't have any video editing software, so I just kind of have to do everything via improv, all in one take, which is why I had to do that. Everything in real time in the last episode, and partly that's why it dragged on so long, but there we go. Oops, okay, so I did that wrong there. I right-clicked in the wrong place. And I'm going to turn this so it's perpendicular to the slope. And fill it in. And the sort of cool thing about this is because I would advise that you change your brush every now and then. And a combination of doing that and the fact that you're just doing this all by hand, and there's opportunities for you to mess up, it kind of makes everything look a little more natural. And so I highly recommend doing it this way, even though it takes a while, because I think it looks a hell of a lot better than just using the shift tool and then smoothing everything over. Because smooth mountains are kind of rare and kind of non-existent in some sense. So it's yeah, it is time consuming. But if you're keen on making a mountainside city like I am, then hopefully you'll find this technique useful. Or maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think that that smooth mountains look better for some reason. One thing I don't like in this is the camera. It always tries to keep a fixed distance away from the ground, as opposed to just letting you float above the ground, like something like, I don't know, Minecraft creative mode would say. And then the other thing is you don't have to just do this, because the right-click feature, you can right-click on any point along this slope. So if I wanted to, I could click here, say, and I think I did it earlier without even mentioning it. I can click there, just halfway up that slope, and bring this one in, and then bring this one in, and just do it like this. So you can do it in kind of increments almost, which again bring a very natural look to the whole piece, I think. Now this is kind of hard to look at, and it's partly because the shadow and partly because you can't move the sun, and so it would be easier to see the progress of how this is looking if you could move the sun around or change the direction of the sun or whatever. But failing that, something that I did learn or discover is if you choose like a wide brush, and then change the brush size to maximum, and then sort of turn actually not maximum, about half, say, and then just sort of turn it. It can help you look at the contours of the mountain, because you can see, like, it doesn't light it up, it actually makes it darker, but you can see how the overlaid brush image or texture moves across the mountainside, and so if it suddenly dips anywhere, then that can help you detect where you've missed a bit. So that's just a little tip for you there. And then so that's the main thing, and then the other thing is doing softer slopes like this. It's a similar process, but you kind of have to be a little more staggered with it. So whereas before we were just going straight up the side, let me change this brush size. Before we were just going straight up the side, because we wanted a really steep slope that was pretty much unending, or not unending. We just wanted a really steep slope, whereas here we want a more gentle slope. And the problem with the slope tool, or it's not a problem, it's just a fact of how it works, is that it just draws a line. Like, it effectively says, if you right click up here, say, and then you start down here, it goes, okay, how do I, oh, let's really accentuate this example. It says, oh, you want to go up here? Okay, let me just draw a line up there for you then. And, you know, it works, it makes you a slope, but it might not be the kind of slope that you want. Maybe you want, if you're into maths, maybe you want something a little bit more like a curve of the square of x or something. You want it to be very steep, but then plateau off. Or maybe you want the opposite of that. You want something like the exponential curve, and you want it to be very flat, but then suddenly get very steep. And so to do that, you have to like stagger the way that you want the slope to work, and then do it in stages. So here at the top it's very flat, and there's not a very big gap between each cliff. So I already smoothed this bit out, but you know, like this is well, actually, let's see, this is 377, and that's 384, whereas this is 377 or 358. Wait, what? Okay, I misclicked. Right, so this is 359, and this is 384, whereas this is 359, and this is 315, and then this is 280, and then this is a big drop here from 224 to 149. So I'm kind of going for that square root of x look a little bit. But then it gets flatter again here at the bottom. So it's a flat bit, then a sudden steep bit, then another flat bit. And so, yeah, the way that you do that is you stagger it, and you do that by using the level tool to get these sections of plateau, if you will, and then you just bring that out however you want, and then you use the slope tool in exactly the same way as we were before, and you just bring these up. Oops. Wait, yeah. You just bring it up like that. Now this kind of looks like ramps, which I'm not super pleased with, and so this is what I was working on down here, but I'm not 100% happy with it yet. And basically what I was doing was, instead of just going, just clicking and then doing this directly parallel. Oh, Jesus, camera. This frame rate. Yeah, instead of just doing it like continually parallel like that, which makes it kind of look man-made, I was attempting to use a smaller brush size, right-clicking here, and then going in from like a couple different angles, like this, say. Oop. Oh, it stopped. like, oi, come on. There we go. So, like, you come in from a couple different angles. Oops. Oi! I think it's the frame rate is making this go a little weird, but, yeah, so you come in from lots of different angles, and then similar to what we were doing before, but just with a wider brush, I guess, and a gentler slope. Gentler? More gentle slope, I guess. It gives this effect where there's a little bit of rock still like poking out, and it looks a little bit less man-made. And then the final thing you can do, and I guess the final thing for this video, because this is already starting to go on quite a lot, is if you get a really big brush size and then something like this brush, say, or even just, let's go for this one. Yeah, let's try this one. And then go for a really, if you go to the shift tool and go for a really low brush strength, like 0.05, and then just click, just gently, just a little bit. This is a really nice way of well, this specific brush tool made a load of small hills. But if we did it with something a little more noisy, like, I don't know, this, and just like click, 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 without holding it in the same place, ever, then you slowly, very, very slowly, and you can rotate and change brushes. Again, this is just to mix up the landscape a little bit more. You can just bring this very, very gentle texture to the landscape, which, as I was complaining in the last video, a lot of maps are just super, super flat. You just see people use the level tool. They go, okay, I want everything to be at this level, and they'll turn the brush strength up to maximum, and they'll just like mow through any kind of texture that their landscape has, and so you wind up with these really boring looking maps. So yeah, try to avoid boring looking maps. Try this technique out for yourself. If it works for you, then please let me know. I'd love to see some maps that you guys make using this technique, and I'm going to carry on making this map. And once it's done, I might make another video. I might upload it somewhere for you guys to check out. But yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. Oh man. I messed up right at the end. The only time I stumbled over my words this whole video. Let's try that again. So yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know what you think. Bye bye.